So you're looking forward to the new Venom movie that's going to hit the cinemas, Karl?
No. Looks like a bag of wank.
Okay, then.
Venom is a Marvel villain and occasional anti-hero defined almost entirely by his unending obsession with bonding, both metaphorically and literally, with everybody's favourite friendly neighbourhood Spider-Man. An obsession, it turns out, is partly the fault of Deadpool.
What actually is the deal with Venom being so obsessed with Spider-Man?
Well, before the canon was revised, which we'll talk about in a moment, it was established in Marvel canon that Spider-Man was the first known host that the Venom symbiote bonded with, and it subsequently became obsessed with Spider-Man because it believed him to be its perfect ideal host.
That's all fine and dandy, Karl, but don't you mean the Venom Sym-bye-ote?
Oh, fuck off with that, Sony Pictures. Put the clip in. It's so annoying. Every piece of, Spider-Man fucking fiction pronounce it the symbiote. Oh, it's the symbiote, is it? Because it's symbiosis, the word. And they put in the word, Sym-bye-ote. We make it different, we Sony. Sym-bye-ote. And then you got Tom Hardy's fucking shit-tier American accent ruining up in that bitch. Then you got Venom telling people they're going to roll down the road like a turd in the wind. Turds don't roll because they're sticky, dickheads. Unless, Sony Pictures, what they're doing is they're rolling their turd in glitter, which is what it feels like they're doing. God! Fox, have you heard that? It's so bad. It's so bad.
We'll talk about this at the end.
Yes, we will.
We've got some more stuff to talk about first.
We've got to talk about the comics. Calm down. Calm down, Karl. This is why I could never make any videos other than this. Because, if this channel wasn't fact videos of a structure and you telling me what to say and prompting me, this would be one of those channels where it's a 3-hour video of me rallying against the fucking trailer. It'd be ultimate trailer breakdown. It just devolves into going, it's not canon!
There's so much stuff I end up cutting out of these videos, which is just me trying to nudge you back on course.
Isn't it? It's the metaphor I think is just we're in a car and we're going towards, and the goal is a video about Venom, and we keep driving past a service station. It's yeah, but shit on the Venom trailer, and I'm oh yeah, let's check out this, mate. No, Karl, no, we gotta go back off, and then we get pulled over by the police, and the police has a Venom head. I'm he's one of them. Can we talk about that? No, I'm like this all the time. This is how I am just in real life.
Right, should we get back to talking about the symbiote?
Fuck's no, it's not the symbiote. Fuck off. It's the symbiote. God.
So in the original canon, how did Spider-Man and the
Sym-bye-ote, trademark Sony Pictures.
How did they end up meeting?
Well, in the original canon, Spider-Man and the Sym-bye-ote, trademark Sony Pictures, met during a storyline called Secret Wars, during which Spider-Man is transported to an alien planet where he just stomps a bunch of alien dickhole for a couple of hours. And during the fight, he notices that his costume is all torn to shit. And he asks the other heroes with him, is there anywhere I can get a new costume on this alien planet? And Thor, and for some inexplicable reason, the Hulk, tell him that on this alien planet, there is a machine nearby that can perfectly recreate new clothing.
So there's a machine that literally just generates clothes?
Yeah, it's comics, just go with it, guys.
And the Hulk's on this planet with them?
Yes.
The guy who literally bursts out of his clothes all the time?
Yes.
Do they ever think of repurposing this stuff back on Earth?
No. Again, comics, stupid, just go with it. Despite being described in Marvel Comics as a super hyper mega genius, Spider-Man inexplicably walks over to a machine containing a violently psychopathic alien life form instead of one that makes clothes. But hey, we've all been there, right? That is the origins of Venom, or at least it was until about 2015. Spider-Man is told, oh yeah, there's a machine over there that makes clothes. Just press the button, it'll make you a new costume. No problem. Spider-Man walks over to the wrong fucking machine and accidentally releases the Sym-bye-ote, trademark Sony Pictures, and bonds with it. And the best part is, again, remember, Spider-Man, super hyper mega genius, doesn't realise what's going on and just thinks that that's what the machine does. So obviously, the Sym-bye-ote, trademark Sony Pictures, bonds with him, realises, oh holy shit, this spider dude's kind of awesome, and gives him the new iconic black costume. Which, if people don't know, I've got to mention this as an aside, it's really funny. That idea was suggested by a fan. If people don't know, it's the Sym-bye-ote costume, trademark Sony Pictures. I'm going to say it every time, it's not stopped being funny yet. Apparently a reader of Marvel Comics in the 60s or some shit wrote in and said, I think it'd be really cool if Spider-Man wore a black costume for a bit. And one of the editors went, that's really awesome. They sent the guy a check for $200 and said, that idea is ours now, and wrote it into this storyline. And that's why Spider-Man wears the cool, awesome black costume.
I get the comics are a bit dumb.
Oh, yeah.
But the whole origin of Venom, who is arguably one of the coolest characters...
Oh, Venom's fucking awesome.
...is because Spider-Man sat in the wrong machine.
No, he walks over to the machine that he thinks makes loads, presses a button, and this evil-looking gelatinous black orb appears and he touches it. Because that's what you do when you're like a genius. You touch like things on an alien planet you don't understand. And it just like immediately encases his body and creates the black costume. My favourite bit is though, Spider-Man doesn't question it for fucking ages, despite the fact that he's just seen Thor and the Hulk walking away, not wearing black costumes. So obviously the machine is supposed to make a perfect representation of the costume you're already wearing. And he doesn't, and he walks out wearing this new black costume and no one gives a fuck.
No one says, oh, why are you wearing a different colour?
And it takes him ages to realise that the costume is actually like a living, breathing alien life form, despite the fact it seems to react to his will and create like civilian clothing and stuff like that. It's great.
For people that don't know, the Venom Sym-bie-ote suit...
Trademark Sony Pictures.
Trademark Sony Pictures. The suit gives him additional power, doesn't it?
Yeah, it varies from writer to writer, but like most versions of Spider-Man wearing the Sym-bie-ote Trademark Sony Pictures suit show him as having increased speed and strength and also the ability to create a near unending amount of organic webbing, which is really awesome, I think, because it's a trait that the Sym-bie-ote Trademark Sony Pictures carries on after it attaches to other hosts. And that's the reason why Venom has like the inverted Spider-Man symbol on its chest, even when it's like, infecting other people. Because it sees Spider-Man as being its ideal host, and therefore, as the strongest host it's had so far, takes on more traits from him. And that's why obviously it fights so hard to like rebond with Spider-Man, because it thinks that's how it becomes the perfect entity.
So what you're saying there is that we can't have the Venom, the classic Venom we all know and love,
yes,
without having Spider-Man as well.
No, because the two characters are intrinsically linked. And even if you want to do a surface level analysis of Venom as a character, even the way he looks is directly informed by the fact he was once bonded with Spider-Man. Because that's why he has big white eyes and the white symbol on his chest. And even his power set is informed by Spider-Man. That's why he still creates web after he's stopped bonding with Spider-Man. Because he sees that as being like, oh wow, that's the trait of the perfect host for me. So I will continue using this. And it'd be really silly for anyone out there to try and make a Venom movie, that didn't have Spider-Man in it. Because Venom without Spider-Man is not Venom. It's just some alien goo that bonds with some dickhead.
Save it for the end, Karl.
I will. For many years, Venom's obsession with Spider-Man and his general dickishness towards him wasn't really explained, up until a Deadpool comic released in 2015.
Which issue of Deadpool was this?
Deadpool Secret Wars issue number 3, which reveals that just before Spider-Man met the Sym-bie-ote Trademark Sony Pictures, Deadpool himself momentarily bonded with it.
To be honest, Deadpool with the Sym-bie-ote Trademark Sony Pictures costume sounds awesome.
It is awesome, and Deadpool himself notes this in the comic, and he even comments on the fact that the costume makes his ass look super tight. As awesome as the costume is though, Deadpool almost immediately realises something is amiss when he notices that the suit is trying to actively read his thoughts.
For people who may have only seen the Ryan Reynolds incarnation of Deadpool, reading Deadpool's mind...
that's never a good idea. It's established in comics that telepaths in the Marvel Universe actively refuse to read Deadpool's mind. It's just so messed up in there. And Deadpool himself, in that comic, in a rare moment of lucidity, notes that it would be a colossal dick move to subject that poor alien to living inside his thoughts, and puts it back where he found it. Thinking to himself for a moment, I sure hope that brief moment it was bonded with me and experienced what it's like to be inside my mind didn't drive it insane. You can probably see where this is going, and about 4 seconds after Deadpool puts the Sym-bie-ote Trademark Sony Pictures back into the machine he found it, he bumps into Spider-Man, who's looking for the machine the Hulk and Thor mention that can repair all of his clothes.
Right, so let me get this straight. The Sym-bie-ote
Trademark Sony Pictures
is insane because it bonded with Deadpool.
It's never explicitly stated that that's the case, but it's heavily implied, and it's hinted at by Deadpool himself, who says, I sure hope being inside my mind doesn't drive that alien creature insane. And we all know that immediately after that, it bonds with Spider-Man and goes absolutely batshit crazy and becomes obsessed with bonding what it sees as the perfect host, which now makes a lot more sense considering, as far as we know, the only other creature it's ever bonded with was Deadpool. Let's just try and put ourselves into the shoes of the Sym-bie-ote Trademark Sony Picture for a moment here. You're just sat in a machine, chilling, minding your own business, when suddenly, out of nowhere, you are forced to bond with a guy with turbo cancer and who also has, like, medium awareness, which people don't know is, like, the, I think, official-ish name for Deadpool knowing that he's in a comic book and is aware and can break the fourth wall. Like, that would drive you fucking insane, wouldn't it? Think about that. The Venom Sym-bye-ote, trademark Sony Pictures, as far as it knows, it's just like an alien living in this cool little pod. And then suddenly, it's like its entire worldview is shattered in an instant by bonding with Deadpool. And then is immediately shoved back into the machine.
Wasn't it also supposed to be true that the Sym-bye-ote, trademark Sony Pictures, takes elements of the previous post it's had?
Yeah, and bearing in mind that Deadpool has a very obsessive personality, frequently going obsessive like words and phrases, like chimichanga, for example, when he says it for like randomly for no apparent reason, it stands to reason that the Sym-bye-ote, trademark Sony Pictures, would like, take on that part of his psyche and become obsessed with Spider-Man. So Deadpool might just be responsible for what Marvel Comics describe as one of the most dangerous villains on the planet. Because Venom is a fucking badass who's like a mega level threat to all of humanity. Because the guy's just that badass.
To think if Deadpool hadn't been there, he could have been a good guy.
It could have been, yeah.
Imagine if the original Venom, or original Sym-bye-ote, trademark Sony Pictures, was actually a genuinely nice creature.
Well, the thing is though, in some comics, like Venom is a good guy. You've got Agent Venom. Which I think it takes on. I think Flash Thompson, in the comics, like the guy who beats up Spider-Man in school, becomes a Marine or something and takes on the Venom Sym-bye-ote, trademark Sony Pictures, and use it to fight alien crime. And then you have like Anti-Venom, who's like a white version, like an inverted version of Venom, who's like also a good guy, I think.
I thought it was going to be Aunt May then, Anti-Venom.
That'd be awesome. The Venom Sym-bye-ote trademark Sony Pictures bonds with Aunt May. The thing is though, there's loads of what if comics of like, oh, what if like the Sym-bye-ote trademark Sony Pictures bonds with like the Punisher, and the Punisher uses it to just fight, destroy all crime everywhere. Because the Sym-bye-ote's like, you know what? I respect Frank Castle's hard-on for destroying criminals. You know what? Use my power in any way you see fit. Deadpool, being Deadpool, never thinks to mention this fact to Spider-Man, and as a result, the Wallcrawler is largely oblivious to the fact his most fearsome villain is a direct result of Deadpool bonding with it for about 2 seconds.
So I'm going to take your limiters off now, we're at the end.
Nice turn of phrase.
What's your opinion of the new Venom movie?
Well, I haven't seen it yet, so I can't really pass judgment on its quality. All I can say is I have no faith in it, because I followed its production very closely, because I'm a big fan of Venom as a character, and it just comes across as desperate.
Yeah, we've mentioned a few things already, like the whole Sym-bye-ote trademark Sony Pictures, which I can't believe you kept up the entire video.
Gotta do it, Sym-bye-ote trademark Sony Pictures.
And also the fact that they've said Spider-Man's not going to be in it.
Yeah, this is the thing that I followed very closely, because I love Spider-Man, I love Venom, and I was interested in seeing Venom fight Spider-Man and have it done justice. So I actually don't know, so maybe you can research it for me and find out, because I've done my own research and I can't come up with a straight answer, because as far as I'm aware, Spider-Man in the MCU has nothing to do with this Venom. Because every time they ask someone from Marvel, okay, what's the deal with this Venom movie? Is it part of your universe? They have left absolutely no ambiguity whatsoever in their answer and just said no. They've literally just said straight up, no, we have no plans to integrate that film or that version of Venom with our universe. We have no plans to let them use Spider-Man. But every time someone asks Sony Pictures, they go, well, it could happen in the future. You never know. So is your movie part of the Marvel Universe? Well, we consider it to be adjunct to the Marvel Universe. So no. But what you're actually saying is we want it to be because we want some of that money. Please give us some of the money. It just comes across to me as being really desperate, especially the fact they chose Venom because he's the most popular Spider-Man villain to launch their new universe, despite the fact, as we've talked about, Venom as a character is fundamentally linked with Spider-Man. And I think they even said oh yeah, the symbol on the chest of the Venom in our movie, we've changed it because obviously it won't make sense for him to be running around with a Spider-Man logo on his chest. It's like, if that's the case, why does he still have the big white eyes? Because that's directly influenced by Spider-Man's costume and the big white eyes on his costume. How do you explain that shit away? How do you explain away the fact that Venom's shooting webs everywhere? I'm just going to go out on a limb here and make a big guess about the Venom movie and say at some point in that movie they will make a wink wink nudge nudge reference to Spider-Man, and I'm also going to go out on a limb and guess that that reference is going to be mentioned by sites like Watch Mojo and all those other shit-tier YouTube channels as something like things you may have missed in Venom, and it's like someone saying direct to camera Spider-Man. Is that one at the end? Oh, what is it now? It's Ant-Man, isn't it? Where I think Luis, he says, oh yeah, we've got people who crawl on walls, we've got people who can fly, and people are like, oh wow, Spider-Man reference in the MCU, things you may have missed. Like, he literally says, guys who crawl on walls. It's like, how did you miss that? I love those YouTube channels like that have so little faith in audiences to pick up on things like, subtext and foreshadowing. So that's my favourite one. Whenever you see like, oh yeah, did they just drop a huge spoiler in Ant-Man and the Wasp for Infinity War? It's like, no, it's called foreshadowing, dickhead. It's what movies in a series do.
Are Sony allowed to use any version of Spider-Man anymore?
I don't know, because they won't give anyone a straight answer, and that's why it's hilarious to me. I research shit for a living, and even I don't know if this universe is going to be linked with the Marvel one, because Marvel says no, and Sony says maybe.
But surely they could put hints into their Andrew Garfield one.
Oh man, that'd be amazing. Wouldn't that be the biggest flex in cinema history? We're going to stand up to Infinity War Part 2, like the end of a 24 movie series, by in this first movie in our series, just bring back Andrew Garfield.
No, what they'll do is they'll reveal it in the post-credit scene as an actual sequel, and then they'll go up against Infinity War Part 2
what would be?
with The Amazing Spider-Man Part 3.
Do you know what would be the best flex they could do? If they bring back Tobey Maguire. No, I'm being 100% serious here. If Sony, if you're listening, because obviously they might be now, because you said Trademark Sony Pictures so much, I'm guessing one of their robots is at least watching, just trying to copyright strike this video. If you're watching, here's a great idea for you. I just come up with in my head right fucking now. Just say Venom is a sequel to Spider-Man 3, just set 20 years fucking later, and just just say, oh yeah, Topher Grace in that movie, he grew up and got super buff and turned it to Tom Hardy. It's a comic book, fine. We can accept that. And if you really, really want to sell it, bring in Kurtwood Smith, who plays Topher Grace's dad in that 70s show, and make him play Carnage. And that's how you link it together. And just say, obviously, the Venom Sym-bye-ote Trademark Sony Pictures went all the way over to Chicago, wherever the fuck that movie's set, to escape Spider-Man, and Spider-Man comes to Chicago to try and kick its ass. And just do Tobey Maguire 20 years, and just say he's been Spider-Man for 20 fucking years, so now he's a super experienced, awesome, kick-ass Spider-Man.
I would fucking love it if the end of that Venom film is the end credits scene. The Venom symbiote starts talking to Tom Hardy and says, "We got to go to New York," and he's like, "Why?" Because we got to go get Spider-Man, and then you see an old ass Tobey Maguire still swinging around.
Yeah, it'd work as well.
Unsuspecting.
Well, the thing is though, that new Spider-Man game that just came out, that broke every fucking record ever. The thing about that game is that you're not playing as Spider-Man in the first year of being Spider-Man, which every other game tries to do. What they've done is said, you're Spider-Man after a decade and a half of being Spider-Man. You are Spider-Man when he's been doing this shit forever.
In his prime.
Yeah, you're Spider-Man. You're Spider-Man Prime, basically. So I like your idea for an ending, Brad, and what we're going to do now is we're going to let the audience decide whether your ending's better or my idea for ending's better. Because my idea is, after Venom's finished doing all his Venom shit, you go to the credits, and then midway through, you steal that shit off Marvel. Fuck it, if you're going to rip them off, might as well rip them off all the way and put a mid-credit stinger. And in that mid-credit stinger, you you smash cut and you've got a pair of shoes on a desk. And those you go past those shoes and it shows you a newspaper that says The Daily Bugle on it. And it says something about whatever happens in that movie. And you see the newspaper go down, and it cuts to black. Then at the end of the movie, you do the end credit stinger, and as the newspaper goes down, it reveals J.K. Simmons in full J. Jonah Jameson outfit, still sat in that fucking office, and he shouts, "Parker, get in here." And you see old man Tobey Maguire walk in, working as an editor or something like that. And you know what? They'll never fucking do it, because those movies were too fun. And Venom's got to be dark and gritty.